first of all, that was pretty impressive. It had me cry a couple of times. A lot of really not so good memories that I'm just glad that I have people like you to help me get through, because they still come creeping back in once in a while. But anyway, as I said earlier, the doing something like this takes a whole lot of strength, a whole lot of courage, and a whole lot of introspective, examination. Now, let's do some external examination. Gregorio is going to come out and he's going to answer some questions for us.
I'm just going to throw it out to you guys. Any questions? I know it's been a long day and some of you have a long drive back, so shoot. And it doesn't have to be a question to me. It could be a statement. You could come up here, talk to the group yourself. Just the floor is yours. Yes, please.
I am not an ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, but I do have a question. How do these people become disoriented? How do they find the right way?
I'm sorry, how do they find?
After they've been a witness, how do they get out of it? Who helps them? How are they disoriented from the cult?
That's a good question. Anyone out here want to feel that? Lisa?
Everybody has to make their own way. Yeah, it's a different process for everyone, and those who left more than 10 years ago will tell you they didn't have that. A friend of the community who died last year, when she left the religion, she turned to prostitution, drugs. She had nothing. She had no one. There was nobody to have support. And it wasn't until years later where she finally found it on the group that Ruben runs. There's some people who left the religion 18 years ago, and they're only just now starting to process it because there wasn't support. So now jump to now where there's Facebook groups. There's AWA just started a forum group. It's advocates for awareness of watchtower abuses. There's Jehovah'sWitness.net. A lot of us started out like just finding that forum online. So an online community has been a big thing for many of us to just from there to start exploring and finding our own individual ways and paths in life.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Just follow. You're not an ex-Jehovah's Witness, but what was your impression of the organization after watching that? Just
I had studied with them on several occasions, and it never. I had this odd feeling that don't do it. I don't know why, but it was, if it's intuition, I don't know, but I could not. But they really tried hard at times and wanted me really to belong. And lots of times when they came and tried to tell me about the Bible, I could quote things back to them because I had learned the Bible and I knew the Bible. And I didn't need someone trying to take bits and pieces and put it together and make it their way or no way.
Sir.
I noticed nobody there was angry. Was that intentional on your part, or did you just happen to find a bunch of really cool people that are not bitter anymore? Or were you looking for non-bitter types? Because there's bitter people.
No, there's plenty. But hell, I'm bitter. I directed and edited the thing. But the point is, like, you can't have any meaningful conversation that starts from a place of anger. And the thing is, if you come out with anger, I think you're just going to lose the audience, because it's like nobody's going to want to sit and watch an 86-minute rant. So give them some historical understanding, humanize it, basically. Make it relatable, not just to former J-Dubs, but people who are never J-Dubs or study with J-Dubs or friends and family of Jehovah's Witnesses. But to come out with anger, that, as ever, that's something that would shut an audience down. Because personally, I mean, if somebody comes at you with anger, I think it's a natural reaction to want to shut down. So,
have you had any reaction from Brooklyn? Obviously, they know what you're doing, but have they made a statement or?
No, and they're smart to do that, just for the fact that anything that they say would indirectly promote the movie, and they know this. I actually reached out to them to tell them that I was making the movie, one, and that I wanted to fact check a couple things, and at the end of that, I'm sorry?
Did they even reply back to you?
Well, I called them directly. They have a PR hotline. Spoke to this young kid, and He goes, all right, well, yeah, this sounds great, but, you know, we really can't help you, and that's that. And I was like, well, all right, well, here's my information. You can send it to the high command. If they get the approval, you can contact me. I didn't hear a word. 2 years later, I finished the movie, and I called them to tell them, like, hey, the movie's done. All right, we're having a screening in, it was in New York City, in Manhattan at the time. If you guys want to come, check it out. You know, you could give me any direct feedback. I'd be more than happy to have you in attendance. He puts me on hold. About 5 minutes later, he comes back and he says, sorry, this is something we're just not interested in, and hangs up on me. And that was it. So my thing is, and I spoke to my business partner about it, we tried to reach out to them. They had a chance to rebut or maybe offer testimony in defense of the organization, but they chose not to, so fine.
Well, I'm not a JW.
You're not a JW.
But I thought
You're next, Jim.
this was so educational. I mean, my partner tells me stories, and you know, him telling me stories is not actually like what I saw today.
Right.
I mean, I really enjoyed this.
Well, thank you, and that's one thing that I want to press upon everyone. Listen, we just came from the barbecue where we're swapping stories again. We all have that shared history and that kinship. So a lot of this stuff there was not much new to you guys, but you guys aren't the only audience. I mean, 63% of people that were in the organization leaving. So there's 20 million potential people that this can speak to. But these people, they have family, they have friends, they have partners that need some sort of, as I said, historical understanding about what it's like. You can't just come out and say, I didn't celebrate birthdays and Christmas and that sucked. No, let them, give them some sort of foundation to come from, and then said you have that foundation, then you can have more meaningful conversations and a greater understanding at the end of the day.
I want to know about these props.
Sure.
Okay, I noticed that you used watchtower-looking literature in the movie as opposed to actual watchtower literature. Was that because of the possibility of the legal department
Of course.
suing you, even though there's a fair use law? Now, but I also noticed that you used actual Kingdom songs. Has the copyright expired on those songs, or were they never copyrighted?
Regarding the magazines, you're absolutely correct. There is a fair use law, but you know what? They have a stable of lawyers that could probably even challenge that.
Yeah.
Also, those fair, again, it's an international organization, and we plan to bring it to international audiences. Those laws don't apply to all territories. So my thing was, it's like, all right, well, clearly we know what they represent. They even use the same font, you know, as the watchtower and the wing. And to be honest, it's actually a lot more, in my mind, creative and fun to come up with our own. I don't want it to be too distracting, so I had my graphic artist whip those up, because when you boil down witness doctrine, it always comes down to Armageddon and paradise. Right? Just keep it simple, leave it at that. And regarding the songs, interesting thing, the musician that composed the music for the movie actually worked at the society at one point. He's a worldly guy that they hired to help write some of their songs. And he told me a lot of their tunes, and the ones that are stuck in our heads to this day, they're actually variations on old gospel tunes.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't dare try to raise any issue with that. Also, these are original recordings. So it's not like I use one of the old Kingdom Melody tapes and sample that. No, these are all, it's my musician playing the piano.
May I thank you for something?
Sure.
Before getting to the rest of the people, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for including a gay person in your documentary.
Yes.
There are so many gay people who suffered severely at the hands of the organization. You know, I founded an organization which eventually became what's known as a common bond today.
Mm-hmm.
I founded it 33 years ago when there was no internet, and if it wasn't for a 1982 article, which I gave you a copy of, that was written by a very dear friend who passed away 10 years ago, who was a member of the gay press, we wouldn't be where we are now. Sure. And I remember there were a couple of people sitting in here, or were in here, who was at our very first international conference in Washington, D.C. in 1999. And And during that conference, they were asked. They asked the room for a show of hands of how many people knew someone who had committed suicide, and every single hand went up in the room. And then they asked how many of you personally have attempted suicide, and about half. And I'm one of them. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for including that in your diverse group of people.
Sure, well, yeah,
because
I
you're
did want to
really,
make it as diverse as possible. And
yeah.
the stories that he told me, I mean, obviously, there's 50, 60 some odd hours of footage that I needed to shoehorn into 86 minutes, maybe under 20 minutes for a director's cut. But there's going to be a lot more content, including Marcus's full interview that will be available on a DVD or on a website down the line. That's why I say that I'm really busy these days. There's so much. One more thing I want to say about witnesses in the gay community. The guy who did that movie, Knocking,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
himself is homosexual,
Yes,
I
he's
believe.
he was
But
raised
I
a
don't
witness.
think that came up once in the movie, did it? Like with the witness policy regarding
Knocking.
No, it
gays.
is. I've corresponded personally with him, and
What did he say about it?
he's an ACLU lawyer,
Yeah,
and the ACLU takes both sides in the same case.
right.
And that was his philosophy, was even though he never became a witness himself, he can't because
Right.
he's because of his sexuality and the fact that he has a partner. His mother is an act, or is, I don't know if she's still alive, is
She
or
was,
was an
yeah.
active witness. And apparently he did this at the prodding of his partner, and did it according to ACLU policy, where they look at both sides. However, I did some digging, and the finances for creating that movie came from a fund. You know, like you watch PBS and it says, you know,
Yeah.
funded by such and such a group.
Yeah.
And the funding for that movie came from a couple of very wealthy Jehovah's Witnesses.
Shocking.
So,
Sir, please.
I just wanted to say that I'm moved and I'm inspired by this, and I can only barely begin to fathom what all of you have been through, but it seems very clear to me that all of you have been robbed of something, and it seems like nobody's willing to be accountable for it.
Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir.
One thing really makes me think about it, but I've
If
had
you project, please.
yeah, I've had family members ask me, why does this matter to you? Why do you still care? And recently on Facebook, on the former JW, one of the former JW groups, a young woman came in and said, somebody asked her that, why does it still matter to you? You've been out of it for a couple of years, why do you still care? Same things that echo. And I want all of us to be able to respond to that. When somebody says it to us, to say, why does it matter to you? It matters because of what it does to you. And for whatever history you have with it, you need to speak to it. If somebody asks you that, you need to speak up. If you hear somebody say that, let them know why it matters to them. Because that's what she was asking. Why does this matter to me?
Right.
And I just said,
Move on or something.
right, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Move on. Why don't you just move on? Why don't
Yeah,
you
the
just
life
get over it and stuff? And you really need to be able to say, you know, this was part of my life. I had friends there. I had family. Whatever I did, but now it's all gone or it's all changed. Or, you know, we were supposed to be in Armageddon by now. I did so many years and it never happened. And you give part of yourself to it, and your soul is married to that. And now you're ripped away by either by yourself or some other forces, and it does matter.
Sure, and I think one thing that I believe is that you look at other high mind-controlled groups, cults, whatever word you want to use, Waco, Jonestown, it took some catastrophe for people to notice, and in my mind, this is a catastrophe that's happening in plain sight. The stories that I hear about mothers and fathers not being able to talk to their children, grandparents not being able to talk to their children, I mean, all that's happening right now. Things have happened to us, but right now this is happening to at least 7.5 million people worldwide, and we know that number is exponentially more. So that's something else that some of these people can take to heart, is that, you know what, I don't look at myself as an activist. I'm a filmmaker, ultimately. But I do believe that this can start conversations. The people that are in it, the people that were in it, or people that know co-workers, colleagues, whatever the case is, to raise awareness to this catastrophe that's happening in plain sight. Yes?
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. I think that the film is amazing. I'm a refugee, so I totally am on board with all of it. I think for everybody here,
are you like DA, DF?
I just walked away. That's my refugee status.
Fair enough.
So I think that it's just really important for everybody. I think everybody here seems to have a really good support system. If you don't, find it. Like, that's the most important thing that I think that anybody can want. If you walk away from it, or if you get the boot or whatever, find somebody that can help you and then pay it forward. I have a friend that's doing a thesis on religious trauma, and you know, I was really happy to be part of that process, because it's about Jehovah's Witnesses as well, and the impact that the religion has on children and the relations with their parents and all of that. So I just think I spent my entire life being silenced. I will never do it again. So I just think it's really important for everybody to not lose sight of that. Like, you have a voice, use it. You use yours. It's amazing.
Through whatever channel. I mean, I did it through film, I mean, Facebook, Twitter, websites, forums, whatever the case may be. Please, I mean, that's the only way you can advance a conversation, by contributing to them. And I'll take two more, sir.
Gloria, I second what she says. Encourage them to walk away. Do not play by their rules. Do not like disassociated. Do not let them disfellowship you. Walk away. If you know anybody, tell them that. Don't play by the Watchtower Bible Act Society rules. Walk away.
He was an elder, so listen to him.
I was an elder. Technically, I guess I still am. I was never removed as an elder. Walk away.
Okay. Who was the second one?
And actually, coming from an elder, that's going to resonate with me.
Becca has a comment.
Yes, please.
As a non-Jehovah's Witness, I was lucky enough to be Catholic. I think part of the power that they have is that this information is not known. Like, if I hadn't met Marty, if I hadn't been in a relationship with someone who was a Jehovah's Witness, I wouldn't know this information. By them being able to keep this so quiet, it allows it to just continue. And by you getting this out there, and by people making the videos and the Facebook, I really believe that more people need to know, because it isn't right. An outsider can look at this and say, this is just really crazy. And I'm sorry any of you ever believed it, but like, I don't know how you get there.
It is crazy.
But somehow you guys did, and I'm so sorry. But, you know, as someone who never believed it, I wouldn't even know how to help somebody. And I've never heard most of this information before. So it's really touching, and it's really scary, you know, that it's out there, and that all of us that don't know walk side by side with you and have no idea what you've been taught, what you think every day. It's just, there's no way of knowing. You need to, I applaud all of you, but the more it gets out there, the more you can take the power away from them, because they thrive on that silence, that embarrassment. And you just need
That's exactly
you need
what
to,
it is,
to,
in my
to
mind.
blow it up.
The vanity that keeps people from sometimes from talking.
There really needs to be more people that know this information, because it's insulting that so many people can live with this kind of, you know, forced shame, and you didn't do it to yourself. Somebody gave it to you.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this girl.